The last day, final day of the 43rd edition of Le Giornate del Cinema Muto, Pordenone Silent Film Festival. It's been wonderful to hear all of the positive feedback, how many people have appreciated the program, which means a great deal to me, as you can imagine. Today has a lot of gems in it, including one of my favorite films of the festival, which starts at 2 p.m., and that's Forgotten Faces, directed by Victor Scherzinger, starring Clive Brook, William Powell, and Olga Baklanova. It is a proto-noir. You'll see in every angle of this storyline what would later become film noir, in terms of the sort of, unrepentant wicked woman who brings down a good man, or a morally questionable good man, shall we say. It's an absolutely terrific film, and I'm deeply grateful to the Library of Congress for giving us the heads up about how wonderful this film is. And I can also guarantee you that everyone is going to want to know what heliotrope smells like after they see this film. After Forgotten Faces, we have a 1919 Louis Mercanton film called L'Appel du Sang. This is the only fiction film in the Sicilian program. And it's based on an English novel by Robert Hitchens, a relatively well-known author at his day. He's now perhaps best known for the novel Green Carnation, which initially was published anonymously, which is a parody of Oscar Wilde and his circle, even though Hitchens himself formed a part of that circle, the margins of that circle. The movie and the novel it's based on very much plays on this idea of Italian primitivism. It very much plays on this notion, Anglo-American notion, of Italy as a country of sensuousness, of unbridled licentiousness. The main character in the film has a Sicilian grandmother, and that's enough. Just that grandmother is enough to make him unable to resist the calls of temptation, the temptation of the flesh, of course. The film stars two very important British actors of their day, Phyllis Nelson-Terry, a great stage actress and second cousin, by the way, of John Gielgud. If you have his volume of letters, you'll see she's mentioned several times, but also Ivor Novello, one of the most important stars of his day, both a songwriter. He wrote Keep the Home Fires Burning, the most important English language song of the First World War, and then went on to write quite a number of other musicals and starred in a number of films. Of course, we know him in The Lodger by Alfred Hitchcock. But this is his first film, and his beauty really shines through. Both Nelson-Terry and Ivor Novello, their physical characteristics conform absolutely to the novel. So it's quite interesting to see how Mercanton was sticking as close as possible to what Hitchens wrote. After that film, the final film in our Ben Carré series, The Red Dance, directed by Raoul Walsh. This is silent cinema at the height of its expressivity, the height of its beauty, camera movements, fluidity, expression. And of course, it stars two of the most beautiful people in Hollywood at the time, Charles Farrell and Dolores Del Rio. Closing night, evening performance. As you already know, The Winning of Barbara Worth. I'll get to that in a moment. Before that, an absolutely marvelous 1911 Chinese Italian short called Per la Morale. This was an amazing discovery made earlier this year by the archive in Belgrade. It's not known to exist anywhere else, and it's an absolutely hilarious satire on censorship. It could not be more on point, given what we're going through today. So that's going to be a real joy, followed, of course, by the Bravura score, written by Neil Brand, which has been commissioned by Le Giornate del Cinema Muto for The Winning of Barbara Worth, one of the great westerns. A western that Kevin Brownlow has been celebrating for quite some time, William Everson, lots of scholars. It's a film that stars Ronald Colman and Vilma Banky. Many people think of it now as being the launching pad for Gary Cooper because it's his first important role, and that absolutely is true. But there's so much more to this film than just having a young Gary Cooper, who is at also, for him, the height of his beauty. It's an exciting film. It is an emotional film. And on top of that, it has extraordinary, groundbreaking special effects by Ned Mann, which were discussed by Craig Barron a couple of days ago in the Jonathan Dennis Memorial Lecture. A flood that really is remarkable for how it's being captured on film. It's going to be an unforgettable night. Of course, it's also repeated the next day for the people of Pordenone during our replica, but the whole night has a final 16-minute cap off, so don't leave the theater. And that is the last of our Feminist Fragments series, an absolutely joyful way to end the 43rd edition.